we have to start it formally.
Okay.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'm here, Dr. Dida Murad. I did my PhD from NUST in Computational Science and Engineering. Today, we are gathering here to discuss with each other in the form of webinar. This webinar is arranged that our speaker Imran come and interact with you. Let first of all, in comprehensive way, I want to introduce which organization I belong and what are our focus. Basically, I am the president of International Council for Research Innovation in Science, Technology, Engineering. I'm leading as research and development management, as well as global research community, along with early career researchers. We have research developments, regional partnership teams that are graduated from NUST, which are come from basic sciences as well as engineering sciences in the form of global research community. And such type of program are available with us. This is very short journey of ICRI-STE. We established these organizations, which is basically the research hub. We are representing not only in national level and international levels. It was established in 2024. We have established our policies development. After that, in 2025, we developed our global research community consist of our 3 scientists, consist of principal scientists and researchers, our 2 scientists and our 1 scientist. Along with, in 2026, we have already launched our program as feature leader networks. We have track record of IEEE conference papers and some journal papers. We have organizing some like these programs in the form of webinars, seminars, symposiums, conferences like this. These are our services. We are working in intelligent computational modeling, scientific machine learning, intelligent innovation in AI like this. These are our programs. But now I am coming toward Imran, and you can share your slide with us.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you see my slide?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So first of all, thank you so much for inviting me to today's webinar. And I also, hope that the ICRI will grow in the near future. So let me introduce myself. A very short introduction I will give, then we will start with the webinar. Myself, Imran Ali Khan. I'm from Chitral, Torko. I completed my FSc from Khan Secondary School, Karachi. Then I joined NUST. I completed my bachelor's from NUST University, Islamabad in economics. After bachelor, I joined Teach for Pakistan as a teaching fellow after there. So let's start it. In today's session, the roadmap is basically we will go with the introduction of the entrepreneurship and what is the gap there, the gap between the normal business owner and the entrepreneur, and what are the factors that are important to be a successful entrepreneur, and then some real world case studies and case studies related pertaining to Pakistan, and then we will end up with the open discussion. So before studying this topic and making this presentation, I asked this question to me, why does this topic matter, like this entrepreneurship matter to me? So I come up with these statistics, because of these statistics, I found out that these topics are very important. As we can see that, according to CB Insight of 2023, 80 to 90% startup fail within first 5 years. 70% fail due to lack of entrepreneurial skills, and 40% because there was no market need, and 82% fail due to poor cash flow system. So as we can see that these statistics are very high. So how can we beat these statistics? If we want to run a business, if we want to be an entrepreneur, how can we beat these statistics? The number are very high. The failure ratio is very high. So what the researcher has to say about how can we beat these statistics? The key insight here is the failure is not inevitable. Of course, we know that. But the researchers show that with perfect skill, knowledge, and consistent mindset, we can beat these statistics and we can be a successful entrepreneur as there are many in the world. So as we already know that entrepreneurship create most of the job, like almost 70% of new job globally created by entrepreneurship are entrepreneurs. I have just put Pakistan position in the world global entrepreneurship index. You can see that Pakistan in the 122nd position. It's very worse scenario for Pakistan. And of course, the problem are there. And with that, opportunities are also there that we will discuss in the later slides. So the first basic difference that Shen and Vetika Raman Drucker have found out the entrepreneurship gap. What's the gap between ordinary business owner and successful entrepreneur? So the researchers like Shen Drucker, they are full-fledged researcher and academician professors. So they have come up with these facts, like the difference between the ordinary business owner and successful entrepreneur. So the ordinary business owner, for example, he or she focus on running the daily operation. He or she do not focus on improvement, value addition, but instead entrepreneur thinks differently. He or she wants to innovate on daily basis. He want to improve the system, the operations, and all and everything. The second fact, Shen and Wetterkaman and Drucker got it that the risk averse. Like most of the ordinary business owners are risk averse. They avoid uncertainty. They are comfortable with their stability and they don't want to create tension in a system. If it's running, let go it smoothly. Do not create a tension. Go with it. But entrepreneurs think differently. They manage risk. They take risk, but calculated risk, and they create tension in the system. They innovate and improve with time. So the ordinary business owners are reactive, but the successful entrepreneurs are proactive. They anticipate challenges and create opportunities based on the challenges. Ordinary business owners are profit motivated. Successful entrepreneurs, of course, entrepreneurs are also profit motivated. They are doing entrepreneurship just because of the profit, but profit is not the sole motive. They want to make a sustainable venture. In order to make a sustainable the venture sustainable, they need to measure the success by impact in value. It's not only profit, but for ordinary it's profit according to the researcher. So the ordinary business people, they manage people and task, but entrepreneur leads, they inspire, and this is how it goes on. So there is a gap between ordinary business owner and successful business owner. We need to fill this gap. In order by filling this gap, we can be a successful entrepreneurs according to the researcher like Joker Shan. They have mentioned those in the entrepreneurship gap review. The 8 key success factors, that are required and necessary to be a successful entrepreneurs are these. I have collected these from the different research papers that I have quoted at the end of these slides, at the end of this presentation. You can check and you can read those papers as well. Most of the researchers, they have mutual consensus that in order to be a successful entrepreneurs, these 8 factors need to be there. Yeah, a person need to consider these factor. The first one, the basic and the foundation is the vision. The second is the innovation, leadership, risk management, financial literacy, networking, resilience, continued learning. I will be discussing these all one by one here in order to get the brief overview, how can we set a vision for our corporation, company, small startup, and all. How can we innovate, and what are the different type of leadership that we can exercise while running a business or SMEs or shops. So the first thing is the vision. Is a foundation of entrepreneurship or foundation of entrepreneurial skills. Bird, Collins, Burwas, Baum, they have mentioned vision as a number one predictor of venture performance, as a number one predictor of entrepreneurial success. You might have heard about Helen Keller. I think you all know who Helen Keller is. I think you know. She's a blind author, writer, speaker. She lost her sight at the age of 19. She said something very important quote. She said, "The most pathetic person in the world is someone who has sight but no vision." At the same time, Jack Welch, he also said that good business leaders create vision, articulate vision, passionately own the vision, and restlessly drive for the completion. So the researcher has to say about the vision is, the entrepreneurial vision is different from what the ordinary business person. They have clear mental image of what they are doing, what's the purpose of their business, and what are the values that are involved in there. So the vision should answer. The person who's running a small business or doing venture need to have a clear vision. Under the clear vision, they should answer different things like what is the purpose, what's the direction, what are the strategy that I need to employ, what are the values. Bird is a researcher in 1988. He said, entrepreneurial intention rooted in vision is the single strongest predictor of venture creation. Like, vision is there important. If you don't have vision, like if it's not clear, if it's not articulated, most of the ventures got failed. And the Baum and his friend said that communicated vision is very important. If you have vision, it should be communicated to your peers. For example, if your peer or your team do not know about the vision, they can't work together. You can't like work for a collective goal in order to achieve a collective goal. That's what the researcher has to say about. So the business fail without vision because they manage the problem, they do not create opportunity. What is managing and creating opportunity? For example, if some problem comes up from customer side, from government side, from any side, the ordinary people will try to reactively answer those questions, like fix it for now and let's see. But the entrepreneur think different, how to fix it from the root so that it can never happen again. So this is how there is a difference in the mindset, in the thinking, in fixing of things, right? So as the researcher has already mentioned here, like for example, shared vision is very important. Otherwise, like it's something solo. Collins and Barrow, built to last. Companies with clear vision outperform market by 15 times more than over 64 years. We all know about Amazon. Like the basic one-liner vision of Amazon is to be Earth most customer-centric company. That means like in order to provide the best service to the end user, to the customer, like the Amazon return policies are good, Amazon service policies are good, Amazon return warranty policies are good. So this is how their vision is, like how to be a customer-centric, how to get their trust. So this is how, with this single liner vision, Amazon is that well established. That's what Bird, Collins, and Bound has said. The second thing is innovation. Like without innovation, like survival is quite hard. Ducker, Sculptor, you might have heard about Sculptor, is famous for his creative destruction theory. You need to read about the Sculptor creative destruction theory as well in order to understand how innovation takes place and how they create tensions in the market. So there are different types of innovation. The researcher, like Duker has mentioned, the product innovation, process innovation, business model innovation, and market innovation. So the creative destruction, like entrepreneurs destroy old industries by creating new ones. This is something very important. For example, we have the example of Nokia. You all know that back in 2010, even 2005, Nokia used to be one of the finest phone. But now Nokia is nowhere. Why? Because Nokia didn't innovate. Nokia didn't see the market demand. Nokia didn't see the competitors' value addition in their product. So this is how it is. For example, if I am running a restaurant, if I stayed with the old method of accounting, with the old method of khata system writing in register and all, so I won't be able to compete with those who are advanced, who are adopting ERP, accounting system to manage the cash flow and all and everything. So innovation is something very important in order to be a successful entrepreneur. So there are some studies that I have mentioned here as well, like McKinsey, companies mastering innovation essential deliver better performance. Exactly, this is something very important. 52% of 500 company from year 2000 have gone bankrupt, like 52% bankrupt just because they didn't innovate. They are not with the market. So these are something research fact that we need to consider if we are going for the venture. The third thing, this is very close to my heart and it should be close to all of our world if we are running a venture. I myself running a venture here in Turkey in e-commerce sector. So as a leader, I also should, incorporate these all in my personalities. The first one is transformational leadership, servant leadership, and emotional intelligence. Like we know we have IQ and EQ. IQ, you all are very high IQ people in person, but there should be EQ as well, like in emotional intelligence. So the researcher Bess, Avelio, Goleman, Luthas, they have mentioned these three leadership skills in their studies, the science of entrepreneurial leadership. Like, the leader should be transformer. Like, as we know, Steve Jobs, the Apple founder, he inspired his engineer to work for longer hours voluntarily because he believed changing the world, because of the vision, because he was emotionally attached with the team. He shared the vision with the team, like, why we want to be the finest in the world. So this is how he motivated the engineers, the worker, with the transformational leadership. The servant leadership is something very important that's lacking in Pakistan. In Pakistan, there is no servant leadership. There isn't any. I haven't seen. You might have seen this. This is something very important. Puts the team growth and needs first. Believe that leader exists to serve, not to be served. Build deep loyalty. So in Pakistan, if you are a leader, you are the boss. Like, no one can answer. You are not accountable to anything. So this is one of the cause that the entrepreneur, the ventures are not getting succeed. Example, we have Howard Sludge, the Starbucks owner. Starbucks is, it's, spread around the world. He, with the servant leadership, he gave health insurance to part-time, employers that increase the value, the worker. And now we can see that it's like Starbucks in 3,000 plus location in the world. The emotional intelligence, EQ, is very important. We need to be self-aware, self-regulated, like motivation, empathy, and social skills we all need to have. So the researcher have got these three leadership skills that are essential to be a successful entrepreneur for the business. And the fourth factor is the risk management. Saraswati mentioned in the affection theory, Knight, Kahneman, the science of entrepreneurial risk. They have mentioned these type of risk. The first risk is financial. I'm not going that fast, right? Is it okay for you?
Oh, it's okay. Okay.
Okay,
Continue,
right. It's not that fast. Okay. So there is one is the financial risk. It can be a pretty boring, but once you connect the whole presentation, you will get something home today from this presentation. This I'm pretty sure. So there is a myth that entrepreneurs are big risk taker who bet everything. But it's not like this. Entrepreneurs, if we see the data of world entrepreneurs and local entrepreneurs, they are not risk takers at all. They are not better at all. So there are four type of risk. The researcher mentioned: the financial risk, the market risk, the operational risk, the strategic risk. For example, financial risk, for example, there can be no cash flow problem, investment problem. How to solve this? And there can be market risk as well. For example, building what nobody wants to buy. This is something very important, that we are not doing market research prior, starting a venture or a business. For example, you might have, I think you all are living in Islamabad. You might have gone to the hostel city in Chakshazad, like it's near to the Comsat universities. Like you can find a lot of hostels there. Like it's a student city. You can find a lot of students are living there. So how, for example, there are a lot of restaurants out there, but I haven't seen a library there. I haven't seen a student study cafe there, library cafe there. So if you go there and start to, run a restaurant, of course it will be highly crowded and there is a chance you'll be fair. But if you start with the study cafe, with the library cafe, because there is a highly demand for that, a lot of students are there. So market research is very important in order to cope up with the market risk. That's what the researcher has to say about the operational risk and the strategic risk. These four risks we need to consider, and the entrepreneur consider before starting the venture. The financial literacy, this is also a very important thing. As Lusardi, Mitchell, I have taken this from US Bank study, and Puri and Zarutsky, financial literacy as a survival factor. It's their paper. So financial literacy is something very important. Now financial, like we can all be financially literate like in 1 month or 2 months. If you're not a business students or student of economics, if we are engineers, scientists, or whatsoever. So a lot of things are available. We can take help from the AI and all in order to be financially literate if we are trying to run a business or a venture. So in order before starting things, we all must have some knowledge regarding the profit and loss, what is the balance sheet, like the cash flow statement, like what are these, and what's the break even point, what's the gross profit margin, what loss I am making, what's the profit there. So these all are financial terms that we must be aware about. As the researcher said, that if you're in order to be a successful entrepreneur, you must be aware of these skill set. Like you must be a financial literate person. It's not necessary you should be a student of business economics or whatsoever, or accounting. So the sixth thing is networking. Networking is very important. It's very, very important. As Aldrich, Zimmer, Grantover, in weak ties theory and structure hall studies, they have mentioned that networking is very important in order to be a successful entrepreneur. So we have seen this like in our daily lives. For example, if someone has good network, he can connect better, or he or she can get better guidance in order to if he or she face a problem, he can take guidance, and he can get feedbacks. If work is required, he or she can get the work done with the proper networking. So the researcher Aldrich and Zimmer said that social network are the primary channel through which entrepreneur access resource, information, opportunities. Yes, 80% of job and business deal are filled through networking. 85%. This 85% is not any statistics. It is a survey result of the researcher, Atler researcher, and LinkedIn 2016 researcher, for example. 80% of jobs are in business deal are filled through networking. So as you can see that how networking is important. And with that, for example, there are how to network strategically. There are some techniques mentioned by Granovetter in the weak ties theory, like follow the 3-list system, use LinkedIn actively, attend to industry event permanent. These all are the techniques that mentioned by the Granovetter in the weak ties theory. You can read about those and you can implement those in your own lives if you are trying to run a business, or if you are venturing something. The seventh and eighth factor, like the resilience and continuous learning. Resilience is very important. Under resilience, Luthas and his friend mentioned the psychological capital. You might have heard the word psychological capital. Psychological capital is, for example, how you react when setbacks occur. For example, now we have a case of Lenik Darbar. If someone of you from Chitral might have heard about the case of Lenik Darbar. Two of our friends, like a university graduate, they started a dhaba in Chitral like 75 days ago, like 3 days ago. The district administrator, demolished those dhaba without any justification and everything. So now it is a test for their psychological capital. It was an entrepreneurship, because in Chitral we don't have dhaba system. So they wanted to introduce a new thing in Chitral, a dhaba culture, so now it's the test of their psychological capital, how they react this, what type of network they will use. They are using the social media in a very better way, that they have raised their voice, they're conducting protest against this brutal act. They have approached the MPS, MNS. They will also raise voice in assemblies. So this type of psychological capital, the resilience, the mindset, how you address the setbacks, very important. And with that, resilience not avoiding failure. It's your response time. As I mentioned that, for example, we have Lenik Darbar case, how much resilience they are, the owner are, and we are also with them, and how they respond that setback. With that, the continuous learning is something very important, because, for example, the skill that we learned 5 years ago are no more relevant now. So we need to be consistent learner. The improvement in the software, for example, the Excel has improved a lot, and the PPT has improved a lot. For example, if we still try to go with the PPT that used to be in 2010, it won't be that efficient, or won't be that promising. So we need to be a consistent learner, according to these researchers, uh, uh, Erickson in the deliberate practice and Drake in a growth mindset. They have mentioned these things like, then we need to incorporate in order to be a successful entrepreneur. So these were the 8 factors that are quite necessary in order to be a successful entrepreneur, in order to be a successful business person, that the researcher has mentioned, like, after a thorough research, they have come up with these factors. So there is a real world case studies we all know about, like, these famous personalities. The number one is the Jack Ma, Sarah Balkley, and the Elon Musk. Jack Ma, we all know, like, what factor was there with the Jack Ma. So we talked about the 8 factors that are necessary in order to be a successful entrepreneur. With the Jack Ma, there was a vision, there was a resilience, there was networking, and there was a leadership. Under leadership, there were 3 things, like, the servant leadership, the transformational leadership, and the EQ, emotional intelligence. So we all know the story of Jack Ma. Like, he failed university exam 3 times. He couldn't find a job in the KFC. He applied and rejected to different universities and all and everything. At the end of the day, he come up with a vision, like, how can I introduce the Chinese local product in the world market? So this was the vision. He built team. He shared the vision with the resilience. He used the network, as I mentioned. The single vision guided Alibaba's 25 journey. Built his network by attending trade show, meeting international buyers, and creating trust before revenue. So this is how Alibaba, like Jack Ma, introduced the Chinese product to the world. Like that unsuccessful person, like, he can't even get to the university, build such an empire. So the factor that were there, that the important factor were there, are these things: the vision, resilience, and all. Sarah Balkley, you might know about. Most of the female knows about her. She's a self-made billionaire. Uh, she didn't innovate anything. She just found out that the women's undergarments are uncomfortable. So how can I make them comfortable? So she came up with the rebranding, with the comfort in the female undergarment, and built a well reputable brand. So the key factor that were there was innovation, financial literacy, risk management, and vision. So by innovation means she looked at the undergarments that were quite uncomfortable. So how can we improve those? So this was the innovation there. And the last, we already know about Elon Musk. I do not need to talk about him because we all know he's one of the finest and famous personalities. But the thing I want to mention here is the factor that contributed, that made him a successful entrepreneur, are the vision, innovation, continuous learning, and risk management. We already know that Elon Musk didn't get education, like proper university education in rocket sciencing. He's a self-learned person. He read book, like, literate himself through continuous learning, and he learned rocket sciencing from the books. He didn't go to university, or he didn't take lesson from a professor and all that. So to sum up these factors, these 8 factors, they are not separate. They are aligned together in order to make a successful entrepreneur success. These are, we already talked about the habit, innovation, skills, networking, habits. These collectively make a successful entrepreneur. These graph is being given by Drake in his work Growth Mindset, Bandra in Self-Efficacy, and Salimans in the PERMA model. So we talked about the 8 key factors that the researcher have found out. These are quite essential and important in order to be a successful entrepreneur, a successful business person. Now let's come to Pakistan at the end. Like, what's the scenario of Pakistan if we look at Pakistan in an entrepreneurial perspective? Yeah, like, entrepreneurship landscape. So what the research says, for example, 5.2 million plus small medium enterprise in Pakistan contributing to 40% of GDP. Like, it's something very big. We have SMEs. And high percent of Pakistani startup failed within 3 years, mostly due to skill gap. These are the report from GAM, SMETA research of 2022. So why it's happening? I mentioned the high percent. It's almost 80 to 90%. I didn't mention the percentage exactly here because it's not verified from different sites. It's like some 70 from different reports. It's 80 and 90. So I said it high just because in order to keep the adequacy of the statistics. So it's almost 80%. Like Pakistani startups fail within 3 years. It's a serious question, like why we are getting fail. And the other statistic is dollar 3.2 billion. IT export. Pakistan exporting IT, information technology items, services to the world. And the IT export has increased. Pakistan is fourth in freelancing on Upwork and Fiverr. These things are very positive considering Pakistan perspective in terms of entrepreneurship. So in Pakistan, the venture survived only for 3.5 years. Why they are so? Why the ventures are not getting successful? So are the factor that we talked about, the 8 factor, are there in Pakistan perspective or not? Are the entrepreneurs, are business holder incorporating these 8 factors into their models or not? This is something very important that we need to question to us. For example, how many people we are here, either 11, 8, 10, whatever business or whatever venture we are trying to implement, we must question ourselves, like, what are the factors of entrepreneurship that the researcher has said I need to incorporate. So if we talked about the global successful entrepreneurs, now we can check those 8 factor in Pakistani perspective, like how the Pakistani entrepreneurs get successful by incorporating those factors into their behavior, their model, and all. You might have heard about the Said Babar Ali. He's the co-founder of Lums and Packages Limited. The factor that he incorporated are the vision, leadership, continuous learning, and networking. He developed Lums, one of the finest business schools, and Packaging Limited. It's like it it's in the LNC, like it's one of the finest and biggest companies in the world, in the packaging world. So he's from Pakistan, from the same landscape. So he incorporated these factor, the vision, leadership, continuous learning, and networking in order to be a successful entrepreneur. And the second is Munis Rahman, the founder of the RosieRoti.com, the job portal. He also incorporated these factors: innovation, financial literacy, risk management, and vision into his startup, into his venture, in order to make it successful. How he applied for the loans, how he get the loans, and how he get the financing, and all of them. These all are in the financial literacy and risk management and the vision. The last is Mubin Ali. You might know about him or not. His venture is very, very promising. Like the stakes. You might know about the bitcoins, right? Bitcoins is usually, we can trade on bitcoins using Binance and other applications. But he developed an app on the bitcoins, so that everyone can use their own coding in order to create games, trade, and all and everything. So he decentralized those bitcoin things to the world, and he's earning handsome money. And according to for Munis Rahman, like he was named in Forbes number 6 in top 10 biggest hitting Asian business under at the age of 50, like under 50. So this is something very big achievement. These are people like ours that they are getting successful by incorporating the research fact. So we also need to follow those. And the last things is what are the challenges we have in Pakistan if we try to run a venture, or if we wanted to be an entrepreneur. So these statistics are rough statistics, not exact figure, because there are some margins up and down. So according to Drucker in 1985, entrepreneurs always search for change, respond to it, and exploit it as an opportunity. Pakistan challenges are Pakistan's biggest opportunity. He said we have challenges. For example, we already know we should we should live with the reality. In Pakistan, we have energy crisis. So with energy crisis, there are opportunities as well. Solar energy, energy storage, smart grids. Like, we need to check how can we get those. How can we start? Can do venture in this sector. There is a market for those. The market value is almost 2.4 billion. So there is an opportunity for us to do venture. And the second is the unbanked citizen. For example, the people who are doing transaction in cash. How can someone bring them in the mainstream, banking system? So someone can develop in fintech, digital wallets, microfinance, and all and everything. We have these in Pakistan, but they are not well established. There is a need. There is a room. According to the researcher, the market value is 2.27 billion, and we have a doctor shortage. Like, in Pakistan, the population is almost 270 million. In 270 million, we have one doctor for 1,500 people. So how can someone manage it efficiently? So in order to get there, someone can build a telemedicine application, digital diagnostic, mental health apps, telemedical apps, and all. There is a room for those. They are not in Pakistan, and they are not full flourish in Pakistan. Even if they are in big cities. So the reach should be in villages, in remote areas, so that everyone can get to the doctor on time, online, offline, whatsoever. So the out of school children, like there's a 6 billion education sector. So we can innovate in education sector, affordable tutoring, vocational training platform, and the post-harvest food loss is something very important in the context of Pakistan. There is a huge room for the venture. In Pakistan, as an agricultural country, and the small farmer, by small farmer means there are big farmer and small farmer. The farmers who are having land less than 12 acre is a small farmer. They do not have warehouses to store their item, to store their food and production. So they are desperate seller. So how can you connect them with the consumer directly so that they can sell on the market, although they can store? So there is an opportunity. And there is underemployment, gig platform, skill marketplace, freelance infrastructure. So in order to a lot of NGOs and Akhan foundations like Akhan Foundation, many other NGOs that are working, in skill development in order to bring the youth on the employment sector so that they can earn livelihood through freelancing, through online job, through call center and all. So there is an opportunity in order to develop up. For example, there are places in Pakistan like Chitral, like Gilgit, where the rent are so low. If internet is quite stable there, the business you can run your business is there, your call center there, your ventures there, because the rent are very low. The induction cost is very low. The initial cost is very low, so it can be a profitable venture. So in the last, the Pakistan entrepreneurship ecosystem, we have opportunities, but we don't know about these things, because these things are for the people who have good reference, who are the son of MNA, MPA, or those who are in big positions. For example, small medium enterprises development authority, they have fee business registration, monitoring, training program. They have in the document, but really how it works, I don't know. So we have Pakistan Software Export Board. Like, if you are exporting any ITs, any item related to information technology, there is a tax exemption. There is no VAT. There is no sale tax. You can import those. We have special technology zones under CPEC. They have been met. For example, if you run a venture in that sector, there is a 10-year tax off for you. There can be a tax off for you. Kamyab Jawan program, we already know about this. We have national incubation center in different cities. We can get there in order to get idea, in order to get direction. In the funding and investment opportunities, we have I2I Ventures. This is for females who wanted to run business at the early age. The Sarmaya Kar, said leading Pakistani venture capital investing firm. The Zen Capital, it's also international financing firm, financing those small, medium enterprises and small venture. We have Indus Valley Capital, and we have World Bank, Ahan Foundation AP. You might have heard about the Ahan Foundation Accelerate Propensity Program. It's one of the finest, they are providing handsome amount of money for a venture with a very low interest rate. So if you have promising idea, promising vision, these factors are incorporated that you can get there and get finance from them. So there are incubation centers in Lahore, Karachi, and different type of program that are in Pakistan, but we don't know about those because they are not highly marketed. The important things are, have been hidden. They are not in social media. These things are not in the social media. They are not in the mainstream media. That this program is there. You can get benefit from this. So we ourselves have to search about these things by our own, get there and take the benefit from those. Otherwise, these are, only limited people knows about those. They are taking benefit from those. People like ours from lower middle income do not know about these things, and we can't take benefit from these things. So that's the problem. So the presentation is almost over. Today's key takeaways from today's presentations are, for example, what we need to do in order to be a successful entrepreneur, what we need to do in order to run a venture, right? How can we beat the statistics, the failure statistics? Like what, the word leader, the word entrepreneur did, in order to be successful, and what the Pakistanis did in order to be successful, like they said, like Mubin. So in order to be a successful or a promising entrepreneurs, based on the research fact, we must incorporate these eight factors. So these are the references that I have used, that I have studied in order to make this presentation. If you need, I can share this. You can read these readings, you can take more idea about entrepreneurship, venture capital, and how to run a business. How to run a business, I mean how to set vision for the business, how to share vision with your peer, and what are the leadership skills there should be, and what financial literacy is required in order to run a business and all. So this was the presentation. So I would like to thank each and every one of you for your patience and for listening. Now we can discuss it together. If you have any questions, we can ask, and we can also answer this question, what's your biggest entrepreneurial challenges? I know some of you have already experienced, or you have tried to run a venture, so run a business. So what was the major challenge you faced? So yeah, once again, thank you so much.
Okay, you may open your mic if you are able to open your mic, please. You may ask any type of question from Imran. If you have any question, then I will add some more things with it. Okay. If you have no question, just I am adding few words with Imran. For example, those students who are coming from biological areas and management science and some more sciences areas. For example, a maths student is unable to know about business concept and entrepreneurships. It means this is the challengeable. My suggestion is that sometimes you saw many things in your universities expos. The expos which may be related with your tech expos and business related with IT sites, business expos. You must go there and understand the things, how the people are running there, and give their ideas and marketing their ideas, so that you can learn from them. For example, I must say that here, the organization we have developed here come from the mentality of NUST, because NUST creates a mentality having leadership skills. Based on that mentality, we have developed the organization. Then we are working in different researches, and there we are conducting different events in different universities. One of our program, for example, the one is AI and AI automations. You know about AI and AI automations, everything go toward automations. For example, let's say AI agents is developed and deployed it, and how we are deployed that one and how we are marketing that ones. That's another aspects. For example, those are coming from science backgrounds, maths backgrounds, IT backgrounds, know about it and how we are marketing that AI automations to high techs and the low markets areas. Similarly, going on the same line, if you are biological students, you have many bioinformatics tools. That my bioinformatics tools can be developed and can be sold. As Imran highlighted, because he's belong from business sides, economic sides, and he's highlighting in a greater way and motivated you. At their respect, you can take that one. As a science student, for example, my motivation is that for university students, I must recommend it to you that you must go towards some incubation centers, go learn many things from their aspects, and start your business from low level. Because entrepreneurship basically indicates, if I'm not wrong, the small business, then go toward the bigger one. This is the general idea. I'm very thankful to all those who are participated here. I'm very thankful to Imran who are sharing their views and ideas. The recorded lectures will be shared, and all those participants who are participated here will be given some certifications at the end. And those who are already registered and unable to join us here and that will not certified, and these are our policies, we must implement that one. But the recorded lectures will be shared with you all. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much once again. And if you have any questions or need presentation, further reading, you can reach me out of through my email. My email is already there, so I am always available to answer questions and to share readings related to entrepreneurship, venture capitals, and all and everything. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.